Now I picked this movie because it was a fantastic script. The story was great. It had intensity, it had drama, it had a lot of action, which I love and which my fans expect me to deliver. And also at the same time, it had the comic relief, just like a True Lies, where you laugh in the middle of the movie, but you're also frightened, you're intense, it's horrific in some instances and all that. So this is what made me want to do the movies. It's an underdog story where I play basically a sheriff that has just come back to his hometown to kind of spend the last few years in my hometown and then retire. But has had the experience of being in a Los Angeles drug SWAT team and be a great fierce fighter. But that time is over. He's now over 60 and he's now in his town. And he's now kind of looking forward to the retirement, and he's set in his mind that he's going to have a quiet way out when all of a sudden this town gets hit by these violent criminals. The cast, it was unbelievable if you think about that. Johnny Knoxville, Forrest Whitaker, Luis Guzman, Jamie Alexander, Rodrigo Santoro, Genesis Rodriguez, Eduardo Noriega, and the list goes on and on and on. So people will be blown away just by the cast alone. And each one of them has great acting talent. And, you know, from the comedy point of view, but also intensity and reaching deep down inside. So there's some great scenes there that, of course, were written, but it's always another challenge than to act all those things out. We have a cast that is from all over the world. I mean, you know, we have people from Mexico and people from Guatemala and people from Brazil and people from Spain. And I mean, it was like the United Nations, basically. It is without any doubt an intense action movie, but with comic relief. And the person specifically that is actually bringing the most comedy you can imagine is Johnny Knoxville. I mean, he's hilarious. If you've seen any of his Jackass movies, you know that he's willing to put everything on the line, including his body, in order to get a big laugh out of it. I was back in an action movie where from the beginning to the end, I was punching, I was shooting, I was running, I was climbing, I was falling, I was kicked, I was beaten, and I was in cars and crashing into cars and everything else. And it was from the beginning to the end, all action. I did a lot of the chase scenes, a lot of the fast driving with the car. I love driving fast. And there was one chase scene through the cornfield. Now, we've never really seen a chase scene through a cornfield. But let me tell you, it is an experience as a driver. Because you drive through this cornfield and you have this high corn, it's like 10 feet tall, and you have no idea where you are. And the other car is also racing through it, and he may be right next to you, 2 feet away, but you can't see it because of the corn. So this is exactly what happened in this chase scene. And so we were banging into each other and spinning around and doing all these different things. And it was, like I said, pretty safe in there because there was nowhere else to kind of fall. You just had to be worried about the ditches and about the holes. But other than that, it was really terrific. What is great about this story is the typical underdog story. And it's a story that could happen anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world as far as that goes. When you see these things in movies, you actually always think it's impossible. This cannot happen. But I can tell you that when I was governor, one of my favorite things to do was to give, for instance, Medal of Valor to police officers and to law enforcement people for extraordinary things, when they did things that were beyond the call of their duty. And those stories, when you read those stories, and I always read them out loud of what they did in order to deserve this medal, it was absolutely impossible. People would say, no human being can do that. I mean, this is how extraordinary those things were. I mean, where people were trying to rescue somewhere in a shootout, and they were running through while the people were firing and all this, and they were shot themselves. And then they crawled to someone and rescued them and pulled them back, and they were shot again, and I mean, the kind of things that people do is really amazing. So this puts validity to this story here, because this story that we have here in The Last Stand is also almost impossible. The director, it's really amazing of how he can take on a different genre and just nail it every time. I mean, the first movie I saw, I remember, of his was The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, which I loved. I mean, the size of it all, and the action was incredible. And then I had to watch I Saw the Devil, A Bittersweet Life and a Tale of Two Sisters. I love this work more than, and each one of the movies that I saw, I liked more and more and more. And I saw what a wide range of talent this man has. He is good about working with that universal theme of good versus evil, basically. That comes through in each one of those movies.